Welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making wild rice and celery root soup. It is absolutely fantastic, and if you've never had wild rice, this is a great way to introduce yourself, and it's full of nutrients. It is absolutely spectacular, easy breezy to make. And this is a cooking light recipe with a twist. I've added chicken because that way it becomes a complete meal with your grains, your protein, your veggies, all in one delicious recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is start with the wild rice. I always get that started first because it takes about 45 minutes to cook. It's an actual grain. Let me let you look at that. That's what it looks like. You put 1 cup in with 4 cups of water. And I've already put the water in the pan. I'm going to pour this in, and then it takes about 45 minutes to cook. And you can get any brand. This one I happen to have is Minnesota cultivated because, of course, I'm a Minnesota girl. Okay, so you can see I've got the 4 cups of water in here. I'm going to pour in the wild rice. And it's pretty simple. You wait till it boils and then you turn it down to a nice simmer, and it takes about 45 minutes. This is an easy part, but you want to get it started first. Okay, the first thing I'm going to work on while the rice is boiling is chopping some carrots as well as some of the other vegetables that'll be in the soup. And it calls for a half a cup of carrots, but my husband and I just love carrots, so I always put more, like a cup and a half of carrots. And once again, I do not peel the carrots because I like those extra nutrients that you get from the skin. So just a real quick reminder about knife skills. Pinch the knife, hold it like this, and then just slide. That way you could cut all day long and not even notice that you just went and cut an entire carrot. Very simple, very easy. And I like to cut everything up before I start actually cooking or doing anything else. So that's what I'll be doing in the next few minutes. Okay, if you've never cut or worked with leeks before, leeks are fantastic. They're very onion-like, but yet a little bit stronger flavor of just a rootiness to it beyond just a onion kind of flavor. And it also provides a very nice, beautiful green round cut once you cut. So, and you'll see it in a lot of soups. If you've never made this or used it before, you'll see it in a lot of soups that they use it because it's actually a beautiful onion. So one of the most important things with leeks is washing them. So there is a lot of dirt inside these leaves. Make sure you really let the water go in. I let the water run this way, and then I kind of scrub in here and peel back and really work in the water so that it's nice and clean. You don't want to get any grit or dirt that does come with these leeks. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and just cut this up, and I'm going to use the same knife technique where I pinch this here and then slide. And I want really thin leaves, and I'm going to see it adds a delicious look and flavor to your soup. So you can see it's just so easy. It's so easy on your arms and your hand when you use the proper cutting techniques. And I go way into the greens because I really like the way it looks. You'll see this, you'll know what I mean. And I put a big, massive amount of leek in here. Okay, so let me just show you some of these. They're just beautiful. Little round circles, and then they'll break up and you'll get these little round elements that really just add so much to your soup. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in another bowl prep right here. for the soup. And last but not least, this recipe calls for celery root. And I'm going to show you this beautiful celery root that I got at my H Mart, which is just a fantastic place to get it because it's cheaper. I think I've talked to you about that earlier. But you can't just wash this skin. You absolutely have to peel it. I have tried it with it. It's really a tart taste to it. So you do have to peel the celery root. It's pretty simple. Some people say use a peeler. I just take a knife and start peeling like it's an apple, and just work around. This recipe calls for 3 cups of celery root, and I wish you could be here to smell this, because when you cut this open, it smells like celery, but a much rootier, richer smell, and it really adds so much to this soup. So I'm going to cut this up, try to get 3 cups. If not, I've got another one in the refrigerator. Okay, I've got this all peeled and ready to be chopped into 3 cups. So I cut it in half, then I cut it in quarters, and just continue to work through it. But you want little squares. I'll show you this in a minute. So when you do this, you just put this over to the side like this, and I'll show you the size that we like. Again, I always go with bite size, something I could put in my mouth. So I'll show you this. So that's the size I like a little cube of cheese. This recipe also calls for 2 tablespoons of chives. I actually went out during the spring of last year and clipped out some chives that were growing out in the woods and along the nature paths behind our house. And so I've got free chives. I've frozen them, and they are just as delicious and nutritious as they were when I first used them fresh. So I kind of crumple them up, because why chop them when you can just squeeze and chop? And I've got my 2 tablespoons right here of chives. So there we go. Just another tip. The next thing I'm going to do is, this is the pan that I'll be sauteing the carrots and leeks in, and it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter. And I recommend that you use the same pan that you're going to use for your soup. Why create another mess by having a pan that you're sauteing in and then transferring everything over? Just use the same pan, saute the items, and go from there. The last thing I'm going to do is chop up this chicken, which I'll be putting into the soup as well. I'm just going to make small bite-sized pieces, cubes similar to the size of the celery root. And I always do it last because I don't want to cross-contaminate any of the vegetables or other items that I've been chopping. So I'm just going to go ahead and start this process, and then I'll show you the rest of the items all chopped up. And like I said, I like to have everything chopped and ready to go, and you can see I've got the celery root, the onions, the carrots, the meat. Everything is chopped up. You've got the chives, we've got the broth, chicken broth, pepper. There's a cup of water. I use filtered water because I want to have the best ingredients, and so we filter the water, and then there's a couple tablespoons of wine here. That's it. And I'm going to start sauteing the onions. You can see I've got the 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and I am going to put the onions in, or leeks, excuse me, the leeks, and the carrots, and we're going to just saute that for a few minutes on medium heat. So you can see the sauteing here, and you can see all we're doing here is adding another layer of flavor. It's certainly not going to be soft to the touch when we're done, but just about 5 minutes to get another layer of flavor in that soup. By sauteing it, that's what you get. So don't skip that step. Next, I'm going to add the wine, and you can use any old wine. I just use whatever's in the refrigerator. But make sure you get all the brown bits that are at the bottom of this and really get that extra layer of flavor at the bottom of the... Oh boy, does that smell good. Those leeks are really smelling good. And we'll let this sit for about another 3 or 4 minutes. Next I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. The first thing I'm going to do is add the broth, the chicken broth that's unsalted. This is my favorite broth. This is 32 ounces. The recipe calls for 3 cups of broth. I put in all 4. And then it also calls for that 1 cup of water, which again, I use filtered water. And then I'm going to put in the celery root. I'll show you this in a minute. And the chicken. I'm also going to add in the chives. And pepper. It also calls for salt, but as usual, we do not put any salt in when we're cooking. And then if you want salt, you can always add it at the table. Now, we want to cook this soup until the celery root is tender. Okay, you can see the wild rice here. It's absorbed the 4 cups of water. I want to show you this. Isn't it glorious? Just beautiful. And you can see how it's broken up. It's gone from that black rice to a fully developed rice. Oh, now I'm going to drain it right now. I'm going to show you how that works. I just put it right into a strainer and let it sit over a bowl. Okay, this next step is a step that you can choose to do or not to do. You can either A, just put the wild rice in the soup and just, wait a few more minutes and your soup would be ready to eat. Or you can do as the recipe says, which is to take a cup of the soup and put it in a blender. And that's exactly what I'm going to do because, again, it really gives another layer of flavor and texture. It gives a creaminess to the soup that I like. But it is certainly not necessary. You could put your wild rice. You could put your wild rice in there right now with no problem. But I'm going to do that right now because I've taken out the one that I'm going to make nice and creamy. And then I'm going to put the rice in so that it can soak up some of these juices. Okay, I use the Vitamix. And again, I just put this top on so it won't spray all over everywhere. But again, just to get that extra layer of flavor, it's not flavor as much as it is texture. So it's to get that extra layer of texture. And I just turn it on, mix it up until it gets nice and smooth. I'm going to pour this into the soup and you'll see that it's going to add that extra layer, and I'll mix it up here and you can see it when I'm done. I've added that extra cup of creaminess and you can see it really has gotten thicker. So I'm going to let it sit for a little bit more and then we can be ready to eat. So here we are. We're about to try our delicious wild rice and celery soup. This is one of our favorites, and we're going to go ahead and taste it right now. I always like to put carrot and some celery root into my first bite with the, what do you think here?
It's delicious, as usual.
Oh, so good. If you haven't had wild rice soup, or if you haven't had wild rice at all, take it from a Minnesota girl. You are going to love this soup. It's very low calorie, under 400 easy. You can have a big bowl plus another half bowl at least. Take care. See you again next time.